Guys, please do subscribe to our channel and support us. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever been in a room full of people? Everyone cheering, yelling, completely losing their minds over a game. And you're just sitting there like, why does this matter so much? Not bored exactly. Not judging. Just disconnected. Like you're watching people feel something you can't quite access. And maybe at some point, you even wondered, is something wrong with me? Because in a country where sports are almost a religion, not caring can make you feel like an outsider. But here's what nobody tells you. Your brain might just be wired differently. And no, that's not a flaw. It's a completely different way of experiencing the world. Because for millions of people, sports aren't just entertainment. They're identity, their emotion, connection, belonging. When someone says, "We won," they don't mean it literally. But psychologically, they kind of do. Because the human brain is built for tribes. For thousands of years, survival depended on being part of a group. Your tribe meant protection, support, safety. And even though the world has changed, that wiring hasn't. So today, sports have become something else. Modern tribes, different colors, different teams, different cities. But the same feeling, this is my side. And when people watch their team, their brain responds in a powerful way. Chemicals associated with bonding and reward begin to activate. The same systems linked to connection and anticipation. Which means, they're not just watching a game. They're feeling it. Every play becomes emotional. Every win feels personal. Every loss stings. And that intensity? It's real. But here's where things get interesting. Not everyone experiences that. Some people watch sports and feel almost nothing. No rush, no attachment, no emotional investment. And that doesn't mean they lack passion. It just means their brain isn't triggered the same way. Because for some people, their sense of identity doesn't come from belonging to a group. It comes from something else. Individuality. They don't feel the need to say "we won," because their self-worth isn't tied to something outside of their control. And because of that, they experience the world differently. Now think about this. Have you ever noticed how sports fans react after a game? When their team wins, they feel proud, excited, almost elevated. But when their team loses, they say, "They lost, not we." That subtle shift? It's actually a psychological pattern. We attach ourselves to success and distance ourselves from failure. But people who don't care about sports, they usually don't do that. Their identity stays consistent. They don't ride emotional highs and lows based on something external. And in a way, that gives them a kind of emotional stability. Most people don't even realize they're missing. But there's another layer to this. And it has to do with what actually gives you meaning. For some people, meaning comes from stories like the underdog winning, the last-second comeback, the rivalry. It's dramatic, unpredictable, exciting. But for others, that same randomness feels empty because they think, why should I invest emotionally in something I can't control? Involving people I don't know? That doesn't affect my real life? And that perspective? It's not wrong. It's just different. Because those people, they still crave meaning. They just find it somewhere else. In ideas, in creativity, in relationships, in building something real. Instead of watching the story, they want to live it. And that difference, that shift from watching life to living it, explains a lot more than people realize. Because when you're not emotionally invested in sports, your attention goes somewhere else. Your energy, your curiosity, your focus, it has to land somewhere. And often, it lands in places that are quieter, but deeper. You might find yourself getting lost in a documentary, or thinking about an idea for hours, or caring deeply about something most people barely notice. And here's the part that surprises people. You're still chasing the same things everyone else is. Connection, meaning, excitement, just in a different form. While someone else is feeling the rush of a last-second shot, you might feel that same intensity while creating something, learning something, understanding something. Your high doesn't come from the crowd. It comes from clarity. Now let's talk about something a little more uncomfortable. Because for some people, not caring about sports isn't just personality. It's history. Maybe you were the kid who didn't fit into sports culture. Maybe gym class felt like pressure instead of fun. Maybe you were excluded, overlooked, or just never interested. And over time, you distanced yourself from that world completely. Not out of judgment, but because it never felt like yours. And that's okay, because your interests don't have to match the majority to be valid. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Think about empathy. Sports fans often feel deeply connected to their teams. They celebrate victories. They feel losses. They care, genuinely. But people who don't follow sports, they don't lack empathy. They just direct it differently. Instead of investing emotion into athletes, they invested into real-life relationships, personal growth, creative work, causes that matter to them. Because here's the truth. We all have a limited amount of emotional energy. And where you choose to spend it defines how you experience life. Now imagine two people. One spends hours every week watching games, feeling every moment. The other spends that same time building something, learning something, or connecting deeply with a few people. Neither is wrong, but they're playing different games. One is experiencing life through observation, the other through participation. And both have value, but they lead to very different lives. Now here's something that might really hit you. If you've ever felt out of place for not caring about sports, it's not because you're missing something. It's because you're not wired for that kind of stimulation. You don't need the noise. You don't need the collective excitement. Because your mind is already engaged in something else. Something internal. Something quieter. But just as powerful. And in a world that constantly tells you to follow the crowd, that can feel isolating. But it can also be your greatest strength. Because while everyone else is reacting, you're thinking. While everyone else is watching, you're building. While everyone else is caught in the moment, you're creating your own. And that takes a different kind of awareness, a different kind of focus, a different kind of mind. Now let's bring this all together. If you don't care about sports, you're not boring. You're not disconnected. You're not missing out. You're just tuned into something else. Something that doesn't require a scoreboard, or a crowd, or a team to belong to. Because your sense of meaning comes from within. And that's rare. But just like anything else, balance matters. Because even if you don't follow sports, connection still matters. Shared experiences still matter. Not because you have to care, but because understanding other people's passions brings you closer to them. So you don't have to force yourself to love the game. But maybe you can appreciate what it means to someone else. And that's where real connection begins. So the next time someone asks you, "Did you watch the game?" and you honestly didn't care, you don't have to feel awkward. You don't have to pretend. Just smile. Because you understand something deeper. You're not playing the same game they are. You're playing your own. If this made you feel understood or shifted how you see yourself, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, do you care about sports or not at all? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching.